Okay, now when it comes to lighting design, the shape and form factor of the lights itself actually plays a pretty significant factor in deciding in how you're going to use and light a certain space. And some lights just make more sense in one place or one conditions than others. And today what I want to take a look at is actually these kind of LED panel lights. Now, as you can see, these are lights that tend to have a very, very slim kind of profile. They can pretty much go anywhere, and their compactness makes them very, very versatile. And there's some places where these are absolutely exactly what you need. Now, today I will be focusing on this. This is the Neewer PL60c, but a lot of this kind of goes for any panel light that you could ever think to use. Now, there are really two main areas that I think you really do need to consider having a panel light in your kit because it just kind of makes sense. The first and most important spot is actually going to be if you're a content creator that is working in sort of a limited space. The great thing about lights like this, you can see they take absolutely no space. You can actually attach these on a bracket to the wall and really light up if you have like a office or you have a garage, just a small corner of your house, and you want to do a YouTube video, you want to do content creation, something like that. These lights are actually really fantastic. The other area that I find these things really useful for is if you are in a situation that you find yourself doing a lot of traveling and you'd be able to pack and get lights compacted on a go in a small situation, maybe on an airplane, maybe in a small car. These things break down and give you a very, very nice option when you're there, especially if you're using these for things like kickers, accent lights, things like that. Really, really nice to always have some kind of LED panel just to have that small kind of travel-like flexibility. All right, but it's one thing to talk about it. Let's go. I'm going to go into my office and take a look at how a light like this can make a big difference in a small, crowded office situation. Let's go take a look at it. Okay, so I'm here now in an office setting, just trying to demonstrate how these panel lights can really make a difference if you're in kind of tighter workspaces like this. Now, as you can see, I'm obviously getting ready to sit down and work on my computer, and there's a couple of things I want to do in this situation just to try and make this look a little more interesting. The first thing is I do want to keep some color contrast in my scene. Now, you'll notice the light behind me over my shoulder, that's keeping that more of a blue type light from the outside, and I'm going to balance me and everything off of this nice warm tone that's coming from this desktop lamp. So that's a 3200 Kelvin versus a 5600 Kelvin backlight, just to give me some color contrast, hopefully try and make us a little more interesting. Now, I am obviously in a very, very tight corner, and that means it's going to be hard to light myself. Now look at this. I have, boom. This is what it actually looks like without a panel light, that PL60c there in the corner. And what I've done is I've essentially got it up in a corner, and I'm just using it to extend this little desktop lamp and make it look like it's coming from that desktop lamp, but the key is it's actually coming from that key light up there. And what's really nice about this, I am literally have a corner. I don't have any space in my office, but I'm able to use one little L bracket attached to my wall. I don't have to have any stands up, and I can put the light right there. It takes almost no space. It's not in the way at all. And as a second added bonus, because I have such a little amount of space that I didn't have a diffuser or modifier for it, well, hey man, this PL60c is actually so powerful, I can pivot it and shoot it into the wall. And hey, I just had a piece of paper. I literally taped a piece of white paper I had laying around that was extra on my printer, and I bounced into that. And there's enough power from this light, it can bounce into that and then bounce on me and get me a more natural looking light that feels like it's coming naturally from this lamp. But as you can see, it's a very, very obvious difference in having this versus not. So putting a light up there really, really makes a huge difference in a small situation like this, and being able to just put it up there on an L bracket, no stand, no nothing, man, makes your life really, really easy and fast when you want to go on there. And if you have something like the app, you can literally just cut it on and off without even having to touch the wall. Okay, so as you can see, having a panel light like this really does make a lot of sense if you're in a tight space and in certain situations. And what I want to do is I want to talk specifically about this one right here, this Neewer PL60c, because it actually is a very affordable light. It packs a surprising amount of professional features in something that comes at this price point with this size. And there are things you should know about because this can make a big difference if this is right for you in your situation. Okay, now the first thing you need to understand about this is a 60 watt light. So the draw is very, very low, but the most important thing is it is a full RGB CW LED panel, which gets you bicolor and the full RGB spectrum, which really gives you a ton of creative control in how you want to do your lighting, and just gives you that flexibility that you're going to want to have. And I consider nowadays having a good RGB light, it does kind of future-proof what you can do these for, because you can make this a great bicolor light for a key light, or if you want to use this for accent lights in the background with colors and stuff like that, it's nice to have that color flexibility in a light that you're working with. Now, when you look at the light itself, you're going to see it has an LED array, is kind of what you'd expect. But Neewer has put a new kind of LED optical design in there that uses TIR lenses. And what this does is this actually gets you a very, very impressive CRI of greater or equal to 96 and a TLCI of greater or equal to 97, which for a budget panel light like this is really, really impressive. They're able to get that kind of color accuracy from a light like this. Now, having good light quality is important, but you also want something that actually feels like it's going to hold up for a while. And one of the things I'm really impressed about this light specifically is that they just packed a surprising amount of professional options here in the light. It's not something you're going to need for everything, but it's good if you buy a light now knowing that it can have options and qualities that if you grow and you expand, you can access those too. Now, the very first thing I got to mention that I love about this light that I think is critical if you're looking about any kind of panel light is actually going to be barn doors. This comes with these nice, really thick metal barn doors that really stay exactly where you want. And if you're using a panel light in any kind of shape or form, you need to have barn doors. The shape of panel lights, it does spread the light very, very wide, and you want to be able to control that. It can totally ruin your set. And so many of these more affordable panel lights come without barn doors, and in my opinion, that makes them kind of pointless because you want to be able to control the light, and this thing has really, really nice barn doors to do it. You don't think it's important, but it's going to be something you're going to 100% want to have. The other thing I like about this as far as the build quality, it just feels so solid, but as you can see here, it's got a yoke here. I'm going to kind of tilt this up, and this yoke lets you go and rotate this thing a full 360 degrees. And another thing that is super important, as you can see on the bottom here, it's got basically an on-off switch, it's got a power, and it's got a DMX in and a DMX out. That DMX is a very, very awesome feature. That means if you're working with some professionals down the road, they can control this through the board. So that's a very, very nice pro feature, but if you never use it, you're totally cool here. But if you look, the power plug stands in here. It's got a very, very good professional DC 19.6 volt in. And what I love about it is if you notice this yoke, look at this. I can turn it and it's not going to interfere with the plug itself. I've had so many times I've had cheap lights like this where they have a yoke that the plug interferes with what you got. What's really nice about this, you can flex it anywhere. If I want to have this pointed up to the ceiling for bounce, I can. If I want to have it like this, or let's say I just need to rotate it 360 degrees, I can do pretty much whatever I have, and the yoke gives me exactly what I want. Now, if I go ahead and turn around, you're going to basically be able to see the interface here aspect of the light. And one thing that, if you know anything about me, I want a system that is simple and easy to use, and I don't have to think about it. And this thing gives you that super easy. You can literally open this thing out of the box and be shooting with it in seconds once you plug it in. Now, because this is a full RGB WW light, that means you have 6 different lighting modes to light however you want. And it's simple and intuitive. You basically have 2 buttons that let you control 2 different diameters. Now, as you can see right here, I'm in the CCT mode, and you can basically go between a 2500 Kelvin, and then you can rotate this thing all the way up to, look at this, a whopping 10,000 K. That is a gigantic range of different things. And what I love about this, you can just dial it in right there and get it. And then if you like click on this, you can come down, and now I can actually get a green and magenta shift, which is very, very important anytime you're dealing with LED lights, because if you want to match LEDs to other lights, having that green magenta shift is an absolute very, very important thing to have. Now, in addition to that, you have a mode menu button. And as you can see here, I can jump between the modes. So if I click on the mode menu button, you'll see now I have an HSI. I can jump over here to my RGB CW, and you can see now that I have my effects. Now, I'm going to point out this one right here because look, it's responding to my voice. So you have an actual audio input to this to do this. So where that's really, really nice is if you are a DJ and you need to respond to music, or you just want to have some kind of fun lighting things, you can absolutely do that. And of course, there are the other standard list of FX that you'd expect now pretty much on any RGB light these days in today's world. Now, they have a couple other nice features. I do want to point out that I love the LED display on here. It just feels really, really well thought out, really, really good. It's in color. It looks really good. You have an XY feature. And then I really love this one too. You have a gel menu, but I just love the way it's set up. You can do Roscoe gels, or you can do Lee gels depending on whatever you want. So you have a really, really nice option here to shoot however you want to get. Now, one other really nice tip that you will probably appreciate as you go is you'll find when you use a light like this, you tend to use kind of a lot of the same settings over and over again. And what I love is they actually have 4 custom buttons where you can get 4 different settings that you often use. And you don't have to dial in here to do it. You literally can just hit 1 and it's going to switch to the color. 2, give me another one. I can go to 3. Give me a certain color, and then 4, give me another color that I want. And I really love that I can dial these in and get these exactly the way I want, to have to come back and do everything else. Now, in addition to a simple intuitive design here on the back, this thing actually gives you 4 different ways to control the light. You can do a 2.4 gig wireless app, you can use the onboard panel, and you can do DMX as well. So you have all these different options. And the app for the Neewer app is really, really simple. Now, the app itself has some features that are definitely worth pointing out, because in addition to all the kind of intuitive features you have here, now you have it in a very clean kind of visual way here on the app. And if I click that, you're gonna see I can do all the things. I can access all the features, I can do my green magenta shift, I can get my color temperature, like that. But there's some things that I think are really, really cool that you can use on your app that really make this light even cooler. Now, the one I really like to point out is actually the source match, which I think is very, very cool. Now, if you look here, if I click on that, you're gonna see that it uses the camera here on my phone, and I can actually pick up different things. And if you'll notice, if like, let's say I wanna match this light right here, boom, I can do that. It'll match the light. But if I wanna start again, maybe I wanna get more brown, like this brown tabletop, boom, I can do that, and you'll see that change here. Just a really, really cool way to get these lights to match, and it is very, very helpful if you have multiple lights in a room. You can literally point this at a light and match it perfectly. You know it's going to come right in. Really, really cool feature of any kind of RGB light like this. I also like the fact that the app I plugged it in, I started this thing up, it instantly connected, I didn't have to worry about it. It's a very, very powerful option of this light. So as you can see, this thing packs a lot of punch, and if you sit there, you can see, even if I turn this right on me, it does give me a pretty nice quality of light. Now, it obviously is a bare panel. You're gonna wanna either bounce this or diffuse it in some way just to give you a little better look. But that being said, they do actually make a softbox diffuser for this that you can buy separately. Or one thing I really like to do with these is I tend to like to bounce panel lights into stuff and bigger light sources just to make the light source bigger. And because this is that 60-watt bulb, it gives you that extra leeway to really get that light and bounce it. As you can see right now, this is getting really close to blowing me at, and I'm at 6% opacity. So if I were to blow this thing up, I'm just gonna let y'all see just how bright this thing can be. If I put this thing at 100%, whoo, you can sit there and see this thing is very, very powerful. You want that power because you're probably not gonna have the light this close to you realistically, but what you wanna do is you wanna be able to bounce that into something and get that light out of there. So that 60 watt of power is going to be very, very important. All right, now anytime I do a review, I always like to point out any room for improvement, just so you're fully aware of if the system it could be right for you, if it makes sense for what you're doing. And I'll be honest, I really did try and come up with being super nitpicky on this, and for the price point and what this light gives you, I'm just really having a hard time coming up with anything that I would see as a room for improvement. The only thing I think you just need to be aware of is just make sure that if you come into this light, you do know this is an LED panel light, and the form factor of this, like I said, has strengths and it has places you're going to use it and maybe places you're not. So just be aware, this is not going to be one light to solve all your problems, but if you're in a tight location, if you want a great kicker or accent light, this is going to be something that really, really kind of fits the bill for most of those things. But anyway, guys, I'd really love to hear what you have to say about this. Go ahead and leave me any notes and comments down below. And yeah, go out there, keep on shooting. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.